Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Esoteric Atlanta. My name is Bryce, of course. This video was unplanned for today. Did not get a lot of sleep last night. I was tossed and turning all night. I could hear our neighbors having a Super Bowl party, and I just thought, how are people still doing this shit with all the information that's been released by the DOJ? And of course, I'm talking about the emails. Now, before we get into it, I just want to let you guys know that we were going to do a Mystery Monday today at noon at lunchtime. If you're on my Substack mailing list, I don't know if I can stop the email from coming out. You might still get an email telling you about it, but I'm going to reschedule that Mystery Monday for next Monday, which I believe is the 16th of February. We're going to be going over the Conjuring House, the Perrin House, and Bathsheba Sherman. We're going to start to go back to our roots of paranormal stuff on Mystery Mondays, these legends, because if you've been here with me from the beginning of my channel, this all started because of all the stuff that happens in Georgia. And then I expanded out, and I always have believed that where there's smoke, there's fire. And especially since 6 years now I've been doing this, we know a hell of a lot more now than we did then. And so we're going to start looking at some of these cases again. But however, even though that case is kind of in line with what the world is going through right now and the disclosure, I still just didn't feel like it was appropriate to do today because of everything that's coming out. I don't ever want to be the bread and circus channel. That's not, we can laugh about things, and God knows we do. But when stuff like this happens, I just feel like now's the time for us to be empathetic human beings. Because at the end of the day, we're not Republicans, we're not Democrats, we're not Americans, we're not Europeans, whatever. We're not women, we're not men, we're not white, we're not black. We're human fucking beings. And I have been just absolutely terrified and appalled, first of all, at the reaction from some of other humans on this planet. Now, I'm seeing a lot of people go completely, rightfully so, berserk, and I applaud them for not restraining themselves, because what is in these emails is absolutely horrific. And one of my actual favorite statements since this has come out, because I was thinking the same thing, was some of you guys didn't read WikiLeaks back in 2016, and it's showing. We've known, especially on this channel, my OGs, we've known about this for 10 years now. 10 years. We have talked about Seth Rich. We have talked about everything that happened with the exposure of those emails. That those emails, when they dropped, changed my life. I'm more of a centrist anyway, but definitely after reading those emails, I was never going to be voting for the Democratic Party again. That was for sure. Now, with that being said, the DNC, WikiLeaks, was the email drop from the actual DNC. So it was exposing a lot of what's in the Epstein emails, was in the DNC emails, really pointing to the Democratic Party. Now with Epstein, we know, and we've known it's in both parties. We've known that. We're not stupid. We've known that. But now we're seeing both parties. And I'm telling you guys, this is a human being issue. This is not a political party issue. It is not a cultural issue. It is not a country issue. This is a human being issue. And Todd and I this weekend did an episode with Lou over on Todd's channel, The Confused Wonder. You can go watch that, where Lou is basically like, what are you going to do? This is like a reset, and it's up to you, the people. Are you just going to ignore it and just ho-hum about it? Because that's giving consent. Unless action is taken, you're giving consent to these psychopaths. And I'm also noticing, the good news is I'm seeing that there is people that are very angry and are making moves to right these wrongs. But then there are people that just don't frankly give a shit, like my neighbor having a Super Bowl party. Like, we now know for sure, we suspected it, but now we know for sure that the Super Bowl is not about football. It's a market for children. So why are we celebrating this? Why? And I've started to go, okay, all right, we're now seeing this divide between people who have souls and people who don't. Worse, we're seeing the divide between people who don't have souls and people who have souls who are psychopaths, and then the percentage of us that actually care. And it's becoming very, very clear who people are. Everything that's been released about the fancy flu of 2020, we've been talking about for years. I've been shadow banned for it. It's all coming out about these. And this is one of the hardest I told you so's that I think I've ever had to say. But this episode is not really going to be about these. That's a whole other topic. More important issue is the children. And I'm pre-recording this. I'm not doing this as a live because I'm so upset right now. And I want to make sure that I'm able to maintain my composure. Because, as I say all the time, don't believe everything you think. Reflect on your emotions. And I feel like if I did this as a live, because I know a lot of my community here, my friends here, probably are going to agree with me. If I'm seeing that in the comments, it's going to wind me up. And I just want to make sure that I maintain my composure. Because the worst thing in the world that I think I could ever do is falsely accuse someone. And so the first part of this video, I am going to be asking John Dehlin of Mormon Stories some questions. And I'm going to be asking John Dehlin to please issue an apology to the victims, the ones who've lost their lives, and the ones who are permanently scarred because of what they experienced. Because I've had my questions about John Dehlin for a while, and I'm going to try to be really fair, because I think my reaction to this video I was listening to yesterday was justified because of what was said in this video, which we're going to listen to in a minute. And the way that they reacted to it, I immediately thought, you fucking psychopaths. I don't know if you are. That was my immediate reaction. That was my immediate human reaction when I heard this, which we're going to listen to it in a minute. But I want to kind of organize my thoughts, because I've gone back and forth with whether I believe John Dehlin is doing what he's doing for the right reasons, or if he is actually controlled opposition. And I go back and forth because humans are complicated and we're nuanced, and mind control runs very deep. And I understand that he was raised in what I believe is a cult. I've never been a Mormon. We've done a lot of exposing Mormonism on this channel. I feel like I know a fucking lot about Mormonism for someone who's never been a Mormon. So I want to give compassion, because I understand that it's a very high controlled religion. And I keep going back with Lorene, our whistleblower we've been working with here, that when you grow up believing God was once a man, which is not what other Christian denominations believe, meaning there's God, the essence of God, and then other Christian denominations believe that God came to earth as Jesus, but in the beginning, God was never a man, which is different from Mormonism. I've been telling Lorene, I'm like, that's a deal breaker for me. You're asking me to put my faith in man? Mormon God and other Christian God is not the same God. So I can understand that when you're raised, maybe even subconsciously, excuse me, guys, maybe even in your subconscious, that there would be added stress, added mental shit going on, because you're seeking the approval of an entity that you think was once a man. I don't want to get too far off subject, but nonetheless, I think that even though John Dehlin has done really good work on his channel, and I know he's helped a lot of people. I personally really enjoy his channel. I enjoy his guests that he brings on. I like that they're long format. He introduced me to Fawn Brody. I'm actually reading No Man Knows My History right now. You guys can see I'm just in the beginning part how much I've marked the markers for satanic ritual abuse, just from what Fawn Brody has said, just from what I know of it, from studying this group for not the Mormons specifically, but the Epstein group for 6 years now. And it was because of John Dehlin's channel that I learned of this book. So I'm very grateful, and I do understand that he's helped a lot of people. And two things can be true. You can be helping people, but also hurting people at the same time. Now, one thing that has always bothered me about John, and this doesn't go back to like controlled opposition, we're going to get to that. It goes back to this idea, and if you study cults, you know that it's very common for someone who grows up or is in a cult, once they leave, to go to another cult. In my personal opinion, I don't know John personal at all, never spoken to the man, but in my personal opinion, it appears to me that John left the cult of Mormonism and went right into the cult of academia. So what do I mean by this? Now, I myself come from a long line of highly educated people. I myself am highly educated. My mom's family, generation after generation after generation, they're all doctors. The Bryces, my name is my mother's maiden name. The Williams Bryce Stadium in South Carolina, that's my mom's family. Strom Thurmond is my late grandmother's cousin, like very academically prestigious family on my mom's side and my dad's side. My grandmother, my dad's mother, we've done shows on her family. Her family were all judges and lawyers down in South Georgia. Both of my grandmothers went to university. My dad's mom was the valedictorian of her university class for her undergrad as a woman, and then she went on to get her master's degree. That was like unheard of in her generation. All of my great aunts were all like in the early 20th century were all academics. They spoke multiple languages. My great grandmother, my grandmother's grandmother, a woman named Minnie Hightower Bennett, she was one of the most highly educated women in Georgia in the 19th century, and she actually educated the men. She taught the men. So I come from a long line on both sides of my family of families that value education. Sorry, guys, my nose is running. I literally got no sleep last night. So anyway, I probably look a hot mess. It's okay. So with John Dehlin, like, I understand the value of education. I didn't even know as a young girl, I didn't even know that university was optional. I thought that was the law, that you had to go. It was just the law in my family. But the difference, I think, and I don't know anything about John Dehlin's family, but the difference between, I think, my perspective on academia and what I see from John Dehlin, this is just what I see from him, so not fact, just my perspective, is that I understand that academia, I don't know if the camera's doing something funny. I'm sorry, guys. You can just listen if the camera's doing something funny. But my perspective on academia is that it is a constantly evolving theory. It's always theory, no matter what subject you're studying. Things that we believe are fact now, if you go back in time, there were things they knew were facts until they weren't facts anymore. And so I think with every single subject we study, we always have to take things with a grain of salt, because human beings change, knowledge changes, information changes. And my good friend Catherine Edwards, that I do an episode with once a week, when that whole propaganda came out about, trust the science, I remember Catherine said to me, she goes, science doesn't even trust the science. What the fuck are they talking about? She's a biologist. As a scientist, you have a theory and you spend your whole career trying to disprove your own theory. So to trust the science is the least scientific approach you can take. Trusting the science is religion-based. Have faith, trust in God's plan, trust the plan. That's not academic. And so I think what's happened, in my opinion, with Dr. John Dehlin is that he's gone from one cult to another cult, and he's gone into this cult of academia where he can't see 10 feet in front of him of like what's really going on. And the biggest thing about academia for me, like what drives me crazy, and my parents were big about, like, for example, my dad used to tell us the story all the time. My father is a veterinarian, and he went to one of the hardest veterinarian schools in the nation, which is at the University of Georgia. Really hard vet school to get into. My parents are both very smart people. My parents are also very social people. They're not nerds, right? They're very social people. They're fun people. And my dad said that his first day of vet school, his first professor walked in and basically said to them, the students who make the B's and the C's in this class will go on to send the $1 million checks back to the alumni fund. The kids who make the A's in this class will go on to teach veterinary medicine. Basically, like, there is value in not being perfect at a subject. And in fact, what that professor was saying is those that aren't perfect at the subject are going to make the better doctors. They're going to make the better doctors because they're not looking at things in tunnel vision. They have complex thoughts. They also have social skills. And there is a difference too with academia and lived experience. We've gotten into this weird place in our world where somehow, because of the cult of academia, we believe that like book knowledge is somehow more valuable than lived experience. What? I will always take somebody's story from a lived experience with more weight than what is written in a book. Always. And I think that's where the disconnect comes, in my opinion, with Dr. John Dehlin. We're going to get to this clip soon, but I want to set this up. So Dr. John, from what I understand, he's a mental health care provider. And I've had people in my comment section say before that he doesn't believe in SRA, which is frightening. It's frightening that a mental health care provider. So what, you think your clients are just crazy? Like, I don't, and here's the thing, with the whole Epstein situation, and this is one of my questions to Dr. John Dehlin. You talk a lot about down with the patriarch, on your channel, but your actions don't show that. And actions always speak louder than words. So we've had over 1,000 women in the last few years come forward and testify that they were SRA'd. Over 1,000 women, Dr. John Dehlin. Are you so much still caught up in the patriarch of Mormonism that you're just not believing them? I thought we were supposed to believe all women. And I get it. Listen, I understand. This is another thought I have about Dr. John Dehlin. SRA is so unbelievably horrific that I think sometimes people just block it. They don't want to. It's easier to call somebody a conspiracy theorist than to look at the evidence of this abuse, right? Because we have PDF files, and they're bad enough. PDF files are bad enough. Yeah. We have, serial killer unalivers who do horrific things, and they're a special breed. We have these and trauma is trauma. It's all trauma. It all creates anxiety issues. It all creates CPTSD, PTSD. It's terrible. But when we're looking at I'll say, for lack of a better word, traditional traumas, we know a lot about those now. We know a lot about how to heal, how to work with. I'm somebody who experienced CSA. I'm somebody who's been diagnosed with CPTSD. I've been through incredible therapy, trauma therapy, done a lot of EMDR work. But my trauma is normal. It's what we're used to hearing, what therapists have studied and are able to work with. But when we're looking at satanic ritual abuse, again, I'm not saying that any trauma is better or worse than the other, but it's a different kind of trauma. It works the brain in a different way. And it's horrific. It's horrific to understand that there are PDF files out there that are PDF files because of their religion. and that they are, and I'm trying to watch my words, because unlike Dr. John Dehlin, I can't say the words he can say on his channel. I get put on shadow ban lane and he doesn't. So that's suspicious. That's suspicious. But the shit that these people have gone through, these victims, and the fact that these little ones, I'll say, are being ingested. We've known about this. This was in the WikiLeaks. Like, we've known about this. We've known about this. We've known about the Kuru. Like, we've known about that. It was in the WikiLeaks. Seth Rich lost his life. He lost his life for dropping those emails to Julian Assange. Pretty big deal, Dr. John. So you have a huge demographic of people who are aware of this group. Now, according to what we've seen, and Lorraine brought this on my channel. We're going to go through them again, hopefully with Kresha as well. The Mormon Church plays pretty heavily in which is not shocking. It's just confirmation. It's not shocking. They're in those files like page after page after page. Like, we've known this. This is not shocking. It's just confirmation. So when you talk, so this clip we're going to listen to, when you talk about Mormons believe in this liberal group of people who are doing these things and controlling the world. No, the Mormon Church is part of that group. And so I understand that this is not John saying this. This is his guest that's saying this. I get it. A lot of my guests say things that I don't agree with. I let them say it because I don't believe in censoring people. However, none of my guests have ever said anything so horrific as what this fucking man said. And if any of my guests ever said something like that, I would stop them. Because it's not a conspiracy. Listen, there's a difference. I've said there's a difference between a truther, a QAnoner, and a conspiracy theorist. And I would rather be called a conspiracy theorist than being openly making fun of victims of this horrific abuse. There are, John, I don't know, Dr. John, if you have read any of these emails, you might want to read them. You're a full-ass grown man. I'm a 43-year-old woman, and I sat here 2 days in a row on the DOJ website, forcing myself to go through everything that I could all the pictures. And I already knew what to expect because I read the WikiLeaks, and it was awful and it was hard. But just like the Holocaust, we need to know the crimes that have been committed here. So, Dr. John, are you going to be like a Holocaust denier now? Because you're not addressing the elephant in the room? I've only seen this one video of you having your guest make fun of this conspiracy. And this was from 4 years ago. Granted, it was from 4 years ago, but 4 years ago, it was still 6 years after the drop of WikiLeaks. So was your guest brought on just to gaslight people? To not believe what they're reading, to not believe the thousands of women that have testified about what happened to them? Is that what you guys were doing? Because I don't even understand. This video was a really fun video I was listening to up until this point. It was all about Mormons' belief about Cain and Bigfoot. I thought great. And it was comical. It was enjoyable. I was enjoying the guest. And then lo and behold, he brings this shit up. I was horrified. And I think I even left a comment saying this did not age well. This did not age well. And I fully believe that Mormon Stories podcast, Dr. John specifically, needs to issue a video with a full-on heartfelt apology to the thousands of women who have testified, to the children who have lost their lives, to the parents whose missing children are in those shallow graves. It's not the elite's children that are there, it's our children. And the fact that you're a mental health care provider, and you're dismissing this is so concerning. It's so concerning. My initial reaction when I heard this, I was driving, was like fucking psychopaths. Then I calmed down. And I thought maybe they just can't accept it. Maybe this is just a crime that's so horrific. But Dr. John, now is your chance to show your audience that you're not a psychopath, that you do have the best of intention at heart, and maybe start to self-reflect on that you have changed from one cult to another cult. And academia is nothing. It's just a belief system. Aristotle said it is a sign of an intelligent mind when you can entertain an idea without accepting it. And there's also a really good Mark Twain quote that Rob Roush on the Traders quote 8 brought up. That's amazing. And I think this absolutely describes what's happening right now with Dr. John. And it's a Mark Twain quote that says, "It ain't what you don't know that gets you in trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so." So let me look at this. Let me pull this up for you guys. First, this Mark Twain quote. Alrighty here. "It ain't what you don't know that gets you in trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so." Dr. John Dehlin, a lot of people are upset because you thought you knew for sure that these people, these women were crazy. They're conspiracy theorists. Turns out you were wrong. 100% overwhelming evidence now. You were wrong. You made fun. In this clip, y'all made fun of these victims. It's disgusting. Let's watch the clip. And again, I've never shared from from Mormon Stories before, but just in case you guys know, this is fair use because we're giving commentary, we're giving education, we're educating these people on why they're wrong, because the Epstein files have come out. So let's just listen here for 1 second. Let's just hear what's said. We're just going to listen to a little bit of a clip here.
But it gets set up from very beginning, and they infiltrate government, and there is this Kabbalah of people pulling the strings who speak to the high priest, the Master Mahan, and potentially Cain is still here, and Lucifer himself. And it's this grand conspiracy that has been throughout all time.
All right, you guys, there's more to it. I'm just a little bit nervous to play more of the video just because I don't know, sometimes I'm hoping John Dehlin will be mature and understand this is fair use. But I don't know. So I'm going to tag the rest of the video down in the description box below so you guys can read or watch the video if you want to watch it yourself. Editing Bryce here, you guys. I just also want to really encourage you to watch the video because they do get into like QAnon and they get into like everything that's actually in the Epstein files, and it's sick. It's sick because you hear John and his co-host like laughing in the background. And again, I'm very nervous about showing any more of it because I just don't know how they're going to react. And even though it is fair use, I don't know if they're going to try to get this video taken down. I would hope not. I would hope that John Dehlin and Mormon Stories would be open to hearing these complaints, and they would make things right. But again, full video, full episode is down in the description box below. You can actually look and see like where they mention these things if you don't want to listen to the whole episode, but it's down below. And let me know too in the comment section if there are other videos on Mormon Story where they openly make fun of SRA victims. Now, guys, we're going to go through the Mormon emails again from the Epstein files a little bit later this week. I'm hoping Kresha is going to join us. We were texting later last week, and so I'm going to text her today and just confirm a time. I'm hoping we'll be able to simulcast so we can go through all of the stuff together. More heads are better than one. And so, here's the thing with Dr. John Dehlin. And if Dr. John Dehlin sees this, like, I'm not doing this for clickbait. I want to make that very clear. I have been living on shadow ban lane on YouTube for 6 years now. I'm not here for the numbers. I'm here because I want to do the right thing. I want my descendants, my nieces and nephews' descendants to be like, yeah, our great aunt, our great great aunt actually did something. That's why I'm here. I I come from a long line of freedom fighters. I have 2 ancestors that fought in the American Revolution, which we're going to get to in a minute with old Miss Pam Bondi. This is why I do this. So I'm not putting this out to openly attack John Dehlin. I'm not. And please do not harass him. Please do not harass Mormon Stories. I go back and forth. I've spoken a lot with people offline about John Dehlin, going back and forth, whether I think he's controlled opposition, whether he's part of the club. As George Carlin most famously said, it's one big club and we aren't in it. Gladly I'm not in it. I have not looked up John Dehlin's name that's one name I did not think to look up when I was spent a few days on the DOJ website. This is before I heard this particular podcast, and it made me kind of wonder. I want to believe that John Dehlin is a really good person, and he's struggling with his own ability to accept the inevitable. I want to believe that SRA is so fucking horrific that his rejection of it is more his own self-protection and self-preservation than anything. However, with that being said, 2 things can be true. I can say maybe this is his self-protection, but he also works in mental health. So if you're a therapist and you're rejecting this form of trauma, especially when you're a therapist on a major podcast where you claim with your words to stand for women's rights, but yet we have over 1,000 women who have testified, and you're still out there calling people conspiracy theorists. The math ain't mathin'. The math ain't mathin'. So 2 things can be true. I can empathize with the human being who might be too traumatized himself to accept this reality. But I can also say, maybe if that's where you are, you shouldn't be a therapist, because your words have consequences. Your words have consequences. Now, in the video that's attached below, they go on to talk about like QAnon. They go on to talk about all this shit that has literally been proven correct. Now, I'm not a fan of QAnon. I think QAnon might be controlled opposition, but what is said in the QAnon is in Epstein's files. So it is legitimate that there is a PDF satanic ring. That is fact. Fact. We have all of the evidence, the emails, the correspondence, the testimonies, the evidence on his island. Why the fuck is there a temple on his island? We have, again, Dr. John, you prove to the world that you actually support women. That you're not some patriarchal, condescending Mormon man who infantilizes women and doesn't believe women. Because over 1,000 women have testified around the world about Epstein. This isn't just some PDF files. These are PDF files who practice SRA and then ingest babies. And Dr. John, if you have not read the Epstein files, then you are not the academic that you claim to be. I'm actually horrified you didn't read WikiLeaks. I think if you profess to be this liberal, open-minded, what's your pronouns? Oh, you confess all this stuff, but you're not open-minded because you haven't obviously done your fucking homework. This is real. Seth Rich was unalived for being the first person to take these emails, give them to Julian Assange, to let the public know what the Democratic Party is fucking doing. You know, the Democratic Party, the same party that created the KKK. They're the same party that tried to suppress women's rights. The Republican Party was the party that ended slavery. Abraham Lincoln was the first Republican president. Do your homework, John. Do you stop believing the propaganda? Yes, there are bad Republicans too, but we got to start with the fact that you are believing that this party that is good is like, it's so close-minded. It is so close-minded that I don't even understand. I don't even know where to start. It's so close-minded. And again, I have empathy because I think you've gone from one cult to another cult. Simple as that. And you're too afraid to actually look at the truth. And you have a big platform. If you were just some Joe Schmo on the street that didn't believe it, and you didn't have many friends and your voice didn't travel far, it might not have that much of an effect. But the fact that you have a big platform where you're claiming to try to help people, and you have helped people, but your opinion carries. And the fact that you've called people conspiracy theorists, that if you guys listen to this episode, they laugh about that. They're laughing. They're laughing. They're giddy about making fun of these conspiracy theorists who believe these people rule the world. Well, guess what? Read the fucking emails. COVID, economic crises, children. It's there. It's all there in the emails. Everything you made fun of in that episode is now proven to be true. You look like an idiot. You have egg on your face. Now, for me personally, and my audience can say what they want to say in the comment section, but for me personally, I don't need an apology from anyone. I would rather be called a crazy conspiracy theorist than be guilty of making fun of SRA victims on my huge ass platform. Because that's something people are never going to get that taste out of their mouth. You are going to go down. That video did not age well. People are going, and I actually, when I was looking at it, I actually noticed there was a spike in views in that area. So people are going back and listening to that, John, because you're wrong. Your guest is wrong. You're wrong. Your co-host is wrong. Maybe take some of your own advice and believe all women. Believe women, because over 1,000 of them have testified to this, and now we have the emails as fucking proof. So here's the thing. Again, I don't want you to mention me. If you decide you want to apologize, you want to do the right thing and be a man and actually apologize, I think that would be really cool. And I think that it would help me trust your platform more. I don't want this to be about me at all. I don't want you to say my name. I don't want you to say this esoteric Atlanta chick, asked to, I don't want my name mentioned at all. I would love for you, if you are truly a good man, if you are truly a man who is trying to help people, I would love for you to go and find some of these victims' names. And I would love for you to do a long form episode where you apologize to each of these victims. I would love for you to do a long form episode where you go through some of these emails that show you and your guest and your co-host, you all guys giggling about this stuff, that you were wrong. And this type of abuse is real. And people go, you're a father, John. Like, you're a fucking father. I'm not a parent. I'm an aunt. I have 2 nephews and 2 nieces. And when I first read WikiLeaks, I could not even go and see my nieces and nephews because I was so unbelievably upset that just looking at them, I would break down and cry. Because I'm a human being. I have a soul. I have empathy, compassion. I know right from wrong. I have a moral compass. My moral compass is not dictated by academia or the news. Frankly, if we want to talk about the news, I get my news now from 50 Cent. I follow him on Instagram, and that's because that man has proven that he is not on those emails, and he is going to take down everyone in Hollywood who has done this to children and women and people. So, John, it would be so unbelievably cool if you could do an episode dedicated to this. And listen, I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want my name associated. This is not about me. This is about me standing up for these people who have been hurt and trying to get you with your big ass platform to do the right fucking thing, to prove to the world that you are on the right side of history. But here's the thing. I know some of these victims. I've worked with some of these victims that have spoken up. And if you want, John, you are free to email me at esotericatlanta@gmail.com, my channel name at gmail.com, and I will put you into contact. Not about me. I will put you into contact with some of these victims who would be willing to talk to you. Some of them might not be willing to talk to you because you're a therapist who makes fun of people who go through this trauma. And even though the Mormon church believes, the Mormon church is part of it, they're part of this satanic ring. It's all, John, listen, bro, if you have not read the Epstein files, your church They're all over it. Yeah, they're all over it. $50,000 for Mormon blood. Like what? They are all over it. But I could have told you that because I've worked with true whistleblowers. There's whistleblowers who were satanically ritually abused in the Mormon church, and they are out there speaking. They're talking. There's lots of channels that feature them. Where are you? Where are you? This isn't just some weird fucking cult. It's part of it. It's part of this thing with the Catholic Church, with the Protestant churches. It's all part of the same show. All part of it. And listen, bro, if you actually study this religion and you go back and read this, she talks about it. All the stuff here about necromancy from the town, if you actually go back and really listen to what Fawn Brody is saying, she's talking about satanic ritual abuse. I got them marked here. If you want to subscribe, we're going to be doing lots of shows on it. I would actually also suggest, John, if you're doing if you really want an apology tour, if you really want to take this seriously, reach out to Kresha from Difficult Research. I don't know if she'll talk to you, but you should probably watch her channel. And if you don't know who she is, shame on you. Because you sure as hell have had Laura and Matthias, who's turned out to be a total fraud. If you would actually look at that evidence on your channel, like she has some ownership over the Vallow Daybell case. She's just a YouTuber like me and like you. Crush is the aunt of JJ Vallow. She's Kay Woodcock's daughter. She's the smartest person to look into this case because she figured it out. She figured it out. She was made fun of. She was called crazy for figuring it out. And guess what, John? She's vindicated because everything she found in her research is in the Epstein emails. Smart girl. Smart girl. She might not have the degrees you have, but bro, she is far smarter than you are. She's common sense. She has critical thinking skills. She's able to look at things and see patterns. She doesn't need a professor to tell her what's true and what's not true. She has her own thoughts. That's intelligence. Not being able to regurgitate some theory that some professor 200 years ago created that you still think it's true, even though you're not willing to carry it with a grain of salt, to think maybe things are going to evolve and change and we're going to see things from a different perspective. No, because that is not true. That's just regurgitation. That's not true intelligence. So I would really suggest, John, that you go and listen to some of Kresha's episodes on Difficult Research. You owe a lot of people an apology. And I know I'm coming down hard, but how I'm coming down on you, John, is nothing compared to what these victims have been through. It's nothing compared to what the parents of these victims. Could you imagine, John, you're a father. Could you imagine if what happened to some of these babies happened to one of your babies? That should go without saying, because that's empathy, is to be able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. And I think most of us feel that. But I don't know if you do. I don't know. Maybe you do. Maybe, again, this is just some protection mechanism that you don't want to accept it. But I do think, Dr. John, because of the size of your platform, because your mission allegedly is to help people, allegedly, I say allegedly now because I'm not so sure, I think you owe it to the victims. I think you owe it to the Mormon victims, to all the victims. I think you need to take some time. I think you need to self-reflect. If it's hard for you to accept SRA as a real thing, then maybe you need to see a therapist. Maybe that's a you problem. Maybe that's not a factual problem, but a you problem. And maybe you need to step away and see a therapist about that so you can help accept reality. It would be so fucking cool, though. You do those long form Mormon episodes where you go through all of Joseph Smith's wives. That was cool to learn about the victims of his victims. So it would be really cool, though, if you would do an episode where you talked about the victims now, the women that you've ignored. Let them tell their story. Let the victims of the Mormon church tell their story. That would be a really cool apology, is to give them a voice, to give them a platform while the world is watching. All abuse is wrong, but this is super wrong. And I'm just hoping and praying, John, that there is redemption. Because there is, if you're willing to apologize and admit your mistake, pretty big mistake to make. I mean, fair enough, pretty big, because the evidence has been out there. The WikiLeaks have been out there. But I think if you were just honest with yourself and honest with your audience, if that is true, that you just were that was self-preservation, I think people would understand. And if you just maybe apologize and like dedicate a show to these women and give them a chance, and these children and these men, and give them a chance to like be vindicated and be supported by an actual therapist, and get an actual apology, an actual one, like a sincere one. Show some contrition. Contrition goes a long way. So again, guys, don't show any hate or harassment to Dr. John Dehlin, not that Dr. John is. I think there's more hope for Dr. John Dehlin than there is for Dr. John Matthias. Like, I think that Dr. John Dehlin, there's a little bit more substance there, my opinion. So I just hope that he takes this sincerely and stands up for these victims instead of laughing at them like they did in this video. And I sincerely hope he shows contrition, and I sincerely hope that he uses his voice and his platform to really help people and to really get the word out. SRA is real. You don't listen, I know it's hard to believe in like ritualistic abuse. I get that, like the magical aspect of it. But just because you don't believe in that, like the magical aspect of doing that, doesn't mean that others don't believe that. The point is they believe it. They believe it, and so they do it. And it's a crime. Okay. So again, don't harass Dr. John Dehlin. I hope that he does the right thing and redeems himself and sets the record straight once and for all, whether he's controlled opposition or not. This would be a great way to set that record straight, to show he's not controlled opposition. The Mormon church is just as much a part of this PDF satanic ring as any other religion. So anyway, all right, you guys, now let's talk about Pam Bondi. We're going to end. I know I went on a little bit. I've been so mad. I've been so mad since is that Radio Free More? Who's the other guy? I don't know. I might be saying the wrong word. Let me know who the other guy is. Dude, like the other guy, I'm not even addressing the Kane guy, because what the fuck? Like, I have more hope that Dr. John Dehlin is going to do an about face and actually show contrition. I don't know about the other guy, though. He seems to be completely like, I mean, he was funny with his research and he had great research. And I mean, I was never a Mormon, but to literally like in his research try to discredit a conspiracy theory that literally was proven in 2016 to be accurate. And now in 2026, it's also being proved. Anyway, don't even get me started again, because it's so, listen, if you ever thought you were dumb, but you agree with what I'm saying, you understand that you're not as dumb as some. So let's just put it that way. So anyway, all right. And my heart goes out to the victims. I am just trying the best I can, as you know, I am trying to do my part to not stop talking about this and to really get people to wake the fuck up. But anyway, let's talk about Miss Pam Bondi. Now, I don't know if this is actually true or not, and I'm going to have to come and edit the screen, because when I pull this up, you guys, it's going to show my private email address, which is not the email address that I give out to people online, because it's my work email address. And so I'm going to have to, so if it looks weird when I edit it, it's because I edited out my address. So, all right. So this is what we are looking at. Again, I'm new to the whole StreamYard thing. So it says, Pam Bondi says that if we prosecute everybody in the Epstein files, the whole system will collapse. Now, I still don't know if this is an actual quote from Pam Bondi, so don't take this as fact. This video was last minute, so I did not have a chance to look it up. But I did want to talk about, it was just something to open up the old Declaration of Independence, because I love being an American. I know that there's a lot of problems we have in our country, and we've strayed far from the Constitution, but I fully believe that we can bring ourselves back. Again, I have two ancestors that fought in the American Revolution. I think it's pretty badass. That our forefathers in the late 18th century were like, you know what? Monarchy is stupid. Because I agree. Ravi agrees too. Monarchy is stupid. What morons are we to think that certain people should rule over us, the divine right of kings by bloodlines, simply by who their daddy is? Like, that's stupid. I love the Declaration of Independence. To me, it's one of the best works of literature ever. I believe in it. I get emotional every single time I read it. I mostly have it memorized, but I want to remind Pam Bondi, girl, Pam, and maybe some other Americans that might not be as up to date on the rules of this country. So we got some rules in this country that are pretty wild. And if Pam Bondi said that about arresting the elites, then she woefully is mistaken when it comes to the Declaration of Independence. So the Declaration of Independence is the most epic, the greatest breakup letter that ever was written. When the colonists were like, you know what? We're going to just sever ties. We're just going to declare ourselves. There had been some skirmishing, some warring going on between, because they were getting fed up. You know, we had the Boston Tea Party. There were some other things that happened. And finally, these guys got together and were like, yeah, fuck this. We're just going to declare, we're going to commit treason, and we're going to declare our independence. And we're going to do it very eloquently in this letter. And we're going to make sure that we set into writing how to move forward in a nation that's of the positive polarity, that ensures that every human being is equal. Doesn't matter what your race is, doesn't matter what your gender is, doesn't matter. They say man here, but we know we're not the woke brigade over here. We know man meant collective humans, right? And so let's get into it, guys, because there's a caveat here that I think Miss Pam Bondi might need to learn. Sad that she's already in this position of power and she obviously doesn't know this. If that quote is legit, let's look at this. So let's read this. One of the best works of literature ever to be written. In Congress, July 4th, 1776. The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America, when in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one person to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and the nature's God entails them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the cause which impel them to separate. So they're saying, we're done with you. We're going to dissolve any type of allegiance to you, and here is why. So we can say this to Epstein and to the elite. We're done with you. We're dissolving any type of law that protects you right now. And here's why. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men, all humans are created equal, and that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. That when any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, so Pam Bondi, I want you to pay attention to this, girl. I think you missed this in school. I think you might have missed this. I mean, we really started talking about this in the fourth grade. So let's go back. Let's talk about this. Let's read this again. To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their power from the consent of the governed, deriving their power from the consent of the governed. So what does this mean, Pammy Cakes? So Pammy, Miss Bondi, Miss Pandy Cakes Bondi, what does this mean? To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent. It means that Pammy Cakes, you're in your position right now because the people are allowing you to be there. Trump is in position right now because the people are allowing it. JD Vance, everyone in DC is in their positions because the people are allowing it. You've given power, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. So, Pammy Cakes, what this means, let's walk it back a little bit more on Pammy Cakes. What this means is that the elite do not control the government. The people do. according to the Declaration of Independence, which is one of our founding documents. This is the heart of the American political system. All right, so we got that. So let's start from the beginning, because the first line to me is just like the pettiest line of all time. I love it. We hold these truths to be self-evident. This is like 18th century, like no shit Sherlock, like duh. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal and they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So that pancakes, what that means is that human life, according to the United States, human life is given to us by divinity, not by the government. That there are certain laws and certain rights that we have as human beings that the government cannot step over. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So did these American children that were kidnapped by the elite, were PDF filed by the elite, were hurt, were unalived, and were ingested by the elite? Were they honoring those children, their right to life given to them by their creator, not by the government, but by their creator, to life, liberty? No, they didn't. So again, let's review. America says monarchy is bullshit. That's what this is saying. It's stupid. There's no such thing as divine right. That's dumb. All men are created equal. We're all fucking equal. If you're breathing, you're equal. Your human life is equally valuable. That's what we believe in this country. Every child born on this soil is equal in value. Their life is equal in value and should equally be protected. Now, Pammy Cakes, we move on to that. To secure these rights, government are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. So not only are human beings, the people, all created equal, but we actually control the government. The government doesn't control us, we control the government. So not only do we say monarchy is stupid, but we say the people are actually the rulers of this land. Now, this is where it gets super interesting, Pammy Cakes. Super interesting. And if you did say that thing about the whole system will collapse, if that's really something you said, this is where, if I were your fourth grade American history teacher, I would give you a big F, because you failed to understand the Constitution, because of this next line, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute a new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. So you talked about the system of collapsing. That's what they're fucking saying here, Pammy Cakes. That when life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, when human life stops being valued by the government, when the human life of the Americans are stop being valued by the government, and all of a sudden the government is become powerful and tyrannical to the point where the men who are supposed to be controlling the government aren't anymore, that it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it. Crash the system, baby. That's what that means. Our forefathers were like, listen, yo, if some guy named Epstein comes along and starts stealing your children and abusing them and ingesting them and starts to control your medicine and starts to control your healthcare and starts to control your politics and control your economics, and you, the people, are not in control of that anymore, then guess what? Guess what? The people then have the right to form a militia and take it down. So, Pammy Cakes, why are you afraid of the system falling? Pammy Cakes, if you were a loyal American, you'd be like, burn it down, baby. You would be taking this Declaration of Independence and being like, it says right here. It says it right here, boo. I don't give a shit if you're a billionaire. I don't give a shit. Burn it down. Because we the people, the American people, have done it before. We'll do it again. This is the best country that was ever instituted amongst this land, amongst this world. It's the only country that does not acknowledge. Why do you think Andrew Mountbatten can't come to America? Because he'll be thrown in fucking prison. Because here, he's not Prince Andrew. He's just Andy Mountbatten. a PDF file. That's it. He's not special here. All right. Prudence indeed will dictate that government's long-lasting should not be changed for light or transient calls. We're not changing this for light and transient calls. We're changing it because all of this, as it said, has been obliterated. And accordingly, all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms by which they are accustomed. So we will suffer. They're saying humans will suffer for long, but when it becomes to the point where the straw that breaks the camel's back, here we are. I would definitely say eating children is the straw that breaks the camel's back. We're done. When a long train of abuses and usurpations. What does that mean, Bondi? Pammy Cakes? Does that go back to 2020? To usurp something? Interesting, right? Super interesting, Pammy Cakes, isn't it? Pursuing invariably the same object evidence as designed to reduce them under the absolute despotism. It is their right. It is their duty to throw off such government. It's not just our right to do this, Pam, to burn the system down. It's our duty. It's our duty to throw such government and to provide new guards for the future security. So, Pammy Cakes, if you're not going to support the American law, then maybe you should step aside so we can put someone in who can. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their formal systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having a direct object, the establishment of the absolute tyranny over these states. They give all of the reasons for them. This could literally be written now, though. You just take out King Charles, George, whatever. Monarchy's stupid, and replace it with everyone on the Epstein group, the Epstein club. Yeah, it's good because this is my favorite part. This is my favorite part. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for readiness in the most humble terms. Guys, it's hard for me to see. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. I would say it's pretty tyrannical to tell the American people you don't want to take the system down when the Declaration absolutely says if shit happens, burn it to the ground. So let's go to the bottom here. We therefore, the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the restitute of our intentions due in the name by the authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are and right ought to be free and independent states. They are absolved of all allegiance to the British Crown, and that of political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved. And as free and independent states, they have the full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. So let me read that again in today's terms. We therefore, the representatives of the earth, in agreement, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the restitute of our intentions due in the name and by the authority of the good people of this planet, solemnly publish and declare that this planet and of right ought to be free and independent of this elite bullshit PDF satanic ring. I lost my place. Okay. That they are absolved of all allegiance to Epstein, to all political connections to the deep state, to the WHO, to all of these, the UN, everything ought to be totally dissolved. And as free and independent states, we, as free and independent people across the world, we have the power to levy war, to arrest these PDF files for their crimes, to conclude peace, to contract alliances with each other, to establish commerce, and to do all acts and things which independent people of this earth have right to do. And with the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge our lives, our fortune, and our sacred honor. That's it, guys. That's what we have to do. Now, they did that, they signed that, and they braced because they knew that the crown was not going to like that. The crown didn't. And they knew that by signing that declaration, they were probably going to be executed. Half of them were, but they did it anyway. And it's time for us to wake up. It's time for us to, as Americans especially, we have, not only is it our right, but it's our duty. Pam Bondi didn't want to burn the system down. Well, Pam Bondi obviously skipped 4th grade American history. Shame on you, Pammy Cakes. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. Your duty is to the people. Your boss. We're your boss, Pammy Cakes, not Trump. The people are. And we have the right. You're part of the system. You're part of the government. So we have the right to take it down and boot you in the process and put somebody up there that will actually honor the rights of free people of this earth who are looking for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that is given to them by their creator. Anyway, guys, I hope that that we'll probably do more videos on this week. I hope you guys are all okay and that you're having I would say having a good day. It's hard to have a good day when you are faced with all this stuff, but we have to stand up. No one's coming to save us. We have to save ourselves. And we can. We, as Americans, for the Americans watching, we've done it before. The same blood that ran through my 2 ancestors that risked their lives to fight in the American Revolution still runs in me today. Same with you. They're messing with the wrong people. Americans are not cowards. We're courageous. We're scrappy. We built the greatest empire that's ever existed, and we did it with this idea of freedom. We can continue to do it. We can bring it back. We can bring it back, baby. We can burn the system down, and we can rebuild it stronger than ever. And we invite our fellow friends, these alliances with other nations, to do the same thing, because this is not okay. This is not okay. All right, you guys. Leaving your thoughts and comments down in the comment section below. Please do not harass anybody. Hopefully, John Dehlin will take heart to this and will self-reflect. And we'll make an apology video. All right, you guys, talk to you soon.